All right. Today I'm joined by VanDrese, president of Yellow Dog Creative. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, James. I'm excited to be here chat with you today.
Yeah, likewise. Look forward to it. So just take me back to kind of how you started. Like, what was your process? I'm always curious how people like kind of got into agency and the marketing business and industry. Could you take it to just a couple of the big milestones that got you to becoming to where you are today as president?
Absolutely. Some of these will be maybe a little agency specific as well, kind of weave in personal and agency. I know the agency's been around since about 2011. I was in high school at the time, was not part of the formation of the agency, but it's been great to see, as the team over the years has grown. I think I've been able to join the company back in 2018 at a really good time. I think there were about 6 to 8 of us, and now we've grown to a team of about 2021. So it's been a fun ride. I joined as really director of business development, very much hey, we need a little bit of support on the business and administrative side. So joining the team, I did that after I graduated with a master's degree. So I felt like I was at that point. I had all the theory. I needed to get out in the real world and actually do some actual business. So I think it was big for me to find a team that was going to have a really open ended role. Like we called it director of business development, but it was basically like, hey, join the team and help figure out ways where you're going to be able to be effective. So over the past 8 years, I've done a lot of traveling, directing video shoots. That was one area where I was able to sort of initially kind of find a fit and really make that my baby, if you will, the video shoots. And over the years, it's just been a steady progression of sort of managing that, traveling around, working with partners on the video production side, slowly building more and more responsibility on the management side. So we were, I mean, fortunate to have incredible people throughout. Our team of 20 is still awesome now, but the folks who over the years have helped build this company, it's just been, a really impressive collection of talent. So for me now, I was named president, I think at the end of 2025, maybe about December-ish, moved up from VP to president. And it's really just been uh, I want to say a humbling experience, but I think it was exactly what I expected. I am such a product of the environment here that we have built, and I want to continue to invest in the rest of our team. So it's been very fun as titles have changed to just continue to be able to essentially find more ways to let our team feel like they have the support and the resources to really thrive. So that's been a big adjustment. I know as I watch previous episodes, some folks have had incredible experience and they're able to sort of draw back on that. And for us, it's been a lot more of, hey, we're a younger agency, so we're going to, lean on experience when we have it, but also we're kind of in that fun part of building it up right now. So lots of fun, exciting stuff for us as we continue to sort of, reinvent ourselves and continue to stay at the top of the game in the creative agency space.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah, I think you probably have unique insights that you're just not going to get from hiring outside. Is that when you can build from within, that you just have much more intangible insights of like how the operation runs, how it works, all the different
I
departments,
think
kind of the
so.
the
Yeah.
culture of it that like you don't get when you hire outside for a leadership position.
And I was just watching someone recently. They were playing like a this or that game, and you have to pick one. It's hire from within or hire from outside. And when you have to pick one, every day of the week I would take promote from within. Like there's a reason that a person is on our team and has thrived. So the ability to promote from within has been incredible. I just want to also, like, the folks that have come from outside have always, every single time, they bring such a nice spark that I think it's important to not get too comfortable. I'd promote from within all day long, but that's why it's fun. I think when the company grows, creates those new opportunities where we just need that fresh infusion of talent. So it's always fun to go back and forth. But man, anytime we have the opportunity, I'm sure I'm not breaking news here that promoting from within there's just something about that that's so rewarding for the culture, and knowing that your people are continuing down that path of progressing into whatever they can be.
Absolutely. Those are fun thought exercises of the this or that situation.
Right.
But in
Yeah.
general,
Have
the
to
good
pick one.
news
It's like,
is
oh,
we don't live in that world, right? We have a lot of different options, and you kind of have to decide and pick how to grow your agency based on where you're currently at. Is do you have the opportunity to build from within, or do you need to hire a strategic person from externally and bring in? And the good thing with businesses is that it's very dynamic. You can choose based on where you're at. You're not kind of stuck in one area.
completely agree. Yeah, well said. It's interesting as the agency grows, finding those opportunities for your people while also letting them be just as excited when we get that fresh sort of energy. And so it's a delicate balance always, but it's just, I think you're fortunate to be in a position when you're growing, and regardless that things are going well, the culture's clicking. Now it's almost just about, hey, what can we add to this mix to enrich it even more, right? And just keep capitalizing upon the excitement. So it's been fun in the first year here, just feeling morale build up, feeling the team feel invested in. That's a really exciting feeling.
Absolutely. And could you take me back kind of how Yellow Dog Creative kind of got started? I know we talked about this in our brief kind of intro call, is that this kind of came out of the service industry, the trades industry, and then started creating media and content around that. And then it kind of transformed into an agency. I think it's kind of a unique path for a creative agency to kind of get developed into. But walk me through how that kind of evolution occurred.
No, absolutely. And I appreciate you kind of taking the time. It really has been, yeah, I don't want to overuse the term, but it's been very organic. It was something that in 2011 or so, this was a plumbing, heating, cooling business, Swick Plumbing, which is still operational in Marquette, Michigan, which is our hometown. And it truly was a part of that company as they started to try to kind of break out of the maybe classic plumber humor, if you will, in the old school advertising style. So this was kind of a step into a more cinematic feel. After about 4 years, the company was being sold to sort of the next generation of ownership, and it was a very understandable, comment to our founder, like, "Hey, either stick with it, stay as GM for us, which is awesome, we love you here, or spin out. This is the time to make your own thing." So that was about 2015, and they Nancy and Tom Swick, spun out and started this agency. It was just Nancy and our lead videographer Mike McCormick at her kitchen table. Tom Swick was sort of the visionary, but Mike and Nancy really just started at the kitchen table in 2015, and from there slowly built the team. It very much was a blue collar trades, plumbing, heating, cooling, electrical focused shop for really the first 5, 6 years, because that was where the relationships were. They had a really good thing going as that industry frankly went from 0 to now let's advertise, let's consider all these new modern means. So, over the past now, let's say 5, 6 years, it's been fun just to sort of go from very trades focused, almost siloing ourselves a little bit. And that was as Swick Media Services was our old name. 2020 came around, we decided to rebrand. We kind of wanted to embrace a whole new fun identity. We had a lot of people who weren't quite sure what Swick was, so we got a lot of Swift media, a lot of Slick media. So it just got to the point where it's like, you know what? Let's do this almost as a team now. It's such a different experience than when Swick Media spun out. Let's come up together as a team, create this identity, and that was in 2020. We are unabashed dog people, don't get me wrong. We've got golden retrievers and yellow labs running around, so the name sort of fit with yellow dog there. But I will say we're very, very fortunate to be based in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It is an incredible corner of this country, and as I've got the Great Lakes up there representing over my shoulder, so it's an area where we have a lot of pride for sure. And right outside of our town, there's this area with the Yellow Dog Falls, Yellow Dog River, Yellow Dog Watershed. So when someone mentioned, what if we kind of pay homage to all the dogs running around here, another videographer on our team, Ethan, said, let's do Yellow Dog Creative. So since
Nice.
2020, I think that was the moment where it really just sort of skyrocketed from a small video production house into a big time creative agency in our own world, right? That we're really helping out whoever we can, whether it's blue collar or whether it's something that's a little bit more unique. If there's a story to be told, we feel that our team is as good as anybody at getting it told. So it's been a fun transition into now a full service agency.
Yeah, amazing. I think there's a lot of value in agencies really focusing on a specific industry and being an expert in it,
Absolutely.
because I think you learn intangibles and insights you just don't get if you're not all in. But have you also found you guys have expanded outside of those trades of plumbing, electric, HVAC, and to find new opportunities in different industries? And how has that kind of transition or growth been?
I'm again, phenomenal question, my friend. I'm thinking this is something where, we have made a really interesting pivot internally from leading with our first, I guess, introduction as we are the storytellers, the trades of the trades, all this. And our identity doesn't change. We are proud to be the storytellers, the trades. It's an old moniker that's sort of stuck around. But at the same time, I think it's a part of our story. So it's become more, maybe it's gone from the most important thing about us to a very critical piece of our story, that now it's gotten to the point of, hey, we're excelling in this space. I'm looking around the office. We have videographers who are as good as it gets. We have graphic designers who are incredible. We have media strategists. So like, it really came to a point of, are we sort of keeping our team too leashed by making it a blue collar agency? Is it smarter to approach it from, again, we're not shying away from our past, our where we came from, our roots, the fact that we do know a lot of those intangibles that you're right, you just pick up over the years of working in a blue collar service setting. But at the same time, it really came down to what is the best way to utilize our team's talents? And the answer to that question was overwhelmingly open it up a little bit. Let us
Mhm.
get more, experimental, work with some other industries and see what that does for ideas. Our creative team has done incredible work outside of our traditional sort of trade. So it's been a very, very, very fun transition over the past probably 2 or 3 years where we've really said, hey, we don't need to limit ourselves. Like our team is incredibly creative. They're incredibly capable. So let's let them kind of have more interesting outlets and figure out how we can utilize their talent. So it's been a very fun experience. I think the team enjoys those wild card projects that are a little bit different, keep them on their toes a little bit.
Absolutely. And was the intention of like, let's go after an adjacent or another vertical or industry? Like, did you kind of identify like what's the thought process behind of like how are we going to grow? Because I see kind of agencies grow generally in terms of two ways. It's like one, let's be experts in a specific vertical and skill set and scale that up. And then once we kind of max out kind of that vertical, then we can grow horizontally with different services. Or we kind of own these core services and we grow horizontally with different verticals. And I've seen both work, but if you take it to the extreme framework, the largest agencies support multiple different industries, right? They have work with large brands that are in, one's in medical, one's or healthcare, one's in consumer packaged goods, right? Like they nail multiple different verticals and kind of I look at it like the extreme highest level agencies are working across
Yeah,
multiple verticals. But I see that as kind of probably the best growth strategy for an agency eventually. But you have to start with one.
absolutely. Right. No, I mean, I think you absolutely nailed it. And I think what's interesting is for us, I don't know that we intentionally may have known at the time, but in those years, right, the 2015, 2016, 2017, when I joined the company in 18, we were doing a lot of work on very carefully adding verticals to our portfolio, right? Like, so we
Mhm.
were, when I
Yeah.
joined, we had just brought on media strategists, we had just brought on graphic designers. So letting ourselves evolve from, we are going to be the best video production house in existence, right? That was our North Star. And sort of diversifying a little bit to the point where, again, we have talented people in our sphere. Let's bring them on board. Let's give our partners more of a full scale creative agency. So I think it was, now looking back, we spent years and years building out that what can we do for the trades. And really it was once we got to the point where we felt like, you know what, we don't want to add more. There are incredible digital agencies out there that Truevo Ads doing a great job, right? There are a lot of people out there that are doing things that we don't feel we need to get involved in. So once we felt like that sort of, I don't want to say a level of comfort, but a level of, this is where we belong, this is the scope of services we should be offering. From there, it felt much more comfortable, much less of a leap to say, let's expand the scope into other sort of blue collar adjacent industries, roofing, lawn care, landscaping, things that you sort of squint a little bit and you understand like there are similarities between these industries. There are synergies there between showing up to someone's home with a branded vehicle, knocking on the door and providing 5-star service. Like that really applies across a wide array of industries. So that our first sort of allowing ourselves maybe to go outside of the PHCE trades was those blue collar adjacent. And from there, I think what I've been very proud of is we've allowed ourselves to sort of use local partners as our bridge into some of these other industries, really, right? So we have worked with a phenomenal group that's a hospice group in the area. We've worked with a great group that is sort of like metal roofing, high scale in our area. So we're trying to find these groups that are in our environment that maybe we can tap into our networks. Maybe we know these owners, we've grown up with them, try to sort of hone our skill set a little bit. Like we took years and years to become the storytellers of the trades. So I think we're very upfront about the fact that when you're signing up to work with Yellow Dog, you are getting an incredibly talented team, a team of people that are going to be go-getters. But when it's in a newer industry, you're really leaning more on the storytelling and the creative capability than you are the industry knowledge that was kind of our bread and butter for so long, right? People chose us in the trades because, yes, we were doing great creative work, but all their other friends in the trades were telling them, we use this company, they know the industry, you should use them. So it's been very interesting again as we let our team spread their wings a little bit, show off your creativity, see how it applies to other industries. It's been fun to sort of start that in our local community in the Upper Peninsula. So that's something that we went from really having no, need, or I don't even know if need's the right word, but no situations that arose where we really would work with local folks. Now that's another way for our team, I think, to find even more enjoyment in what we do is let's find local groups we can work with, relationships with people we've already made, see the content in our community. So it's been fun to sort of dip our toes into some industries that way. And then you're always doing that development of, hey, now that we have this piece of content or of collateral, let's spread it out to the world, show people what we can do and start to build up that client base. So like it's been, I think we've done over 220-ish video shoots in the trades. So there's just so much acquired knowledge. Like you mentioned the intangibles, knowing how a technician actually approaches a furnace or whatever it may be, right? So it's been fun over time, dipping our toes in and using our local community to honestly let the team have a blast and start to see their own work in other industries.
Yeah, I love that. I think what you just said is so unique inside of being able to figure out and identify what are the additional services you can offer your core, but not go out too wide. Because when you go too wide in your services, then you end up having to create whole new departments of people, processes, and systems, which can be a heavy lift for a small to mid-sized agency that can really cap you versus we have extra capacity of our current audience, but we're tapping out this one market. How do we go to adjacent markets and offer the same services? And that seems like a much more realistic growth model than let's add on a whole new department of a service we're not experts and we don't know.
Right.
And I've
Yep.
I've fallen into that trap before as an agency owner where I was like, "Oh, we do paid ads. You know what else our clients need is funnels and ads and all
Yep.
these things." That I'm like, then I realize our team is not
It,
capable of doing those, which means we have to hire on
and
new
it's born out
people
of wanting to
and then
help,
it
right? You want to
cancels
help.
us. Yes, right, exactly, because the clients come to us and
That's the
say,
tough part.
I need this help. I need this additional service done. And then you see it as, oh, this is a new opportunity for us. But then you realize you're taking 5 steps back to offer them a service that is not in your core capability set of services. And I think that's where it's better to have strategic partnerships or
Yep.
contractors or
Right.
referrals that you push to and then grow on your just core services that you know you have extra capacity in because your team's already good at it.
I could not agree more. There's so many people in the marketing space that do a phenomenal job. So the ability for us to meet more people, always be open to those relationships, having the conversations, the amount that I've learned from folks who are in those other sort of sections of marketing that we are making we want to stay clear of, you still get so much out of that. So again, the synergy between an effective digital agency and a creative agency that can work together, I think our partners have really found that that is something I don't you'd never notice that it was well, we want to have everything in one place, so we don't want to have the back and forth. We've just become so accustomed to being a really active communicator that we're used to it at this point. So I echo everything you said. I think it's really it seems like it's been the most strategic way for us to grow is be very proud of what we do, but know that we don't need to do everything. Let's be the greatest at what we do. So very well said.
Yeah. Now you work with a lot of trades, and something I keep hearing, and I'd love to get your perspective on this because I don't know. I'm kind of come from an outsider, just hearing what people are talking about online. Is that there's a lot of private equity going in and buying the trades and grouping a bunch of HVAC companies, plumbing companies, electrical companies. Are you seeing that happen across the industry, and how do you see that kind of affecting kind of agency support model around that industries or just the industry in general?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a great question. And it certainly has. I think, if you would have mentioned when I first joined in 2018, private equity, I understood the concept, understood that it existed, but in a trades perspective, it really was a totally foreign concept. Maybe the seeds were sort of being laid at that point. I'm not sure, but what we've noticed is during the 2020 2021, seeing how stable those industries were through the I guess COVID, the kind of craziness early on, not knowing what industries were going to do really well. the trades knocked it out of the park. When people were spending more times at their home, or more time at their home, I can't speak this morning, there was naturally more of a need to ensure that their home comfort was taken care of. All these little things were dialed in. So there was so much opportunity, I think, at that point that a lot of light bulbs were going off around the country. In my limited experience here, the people behind private equity are often pretty smart folks. So when they see opportunity in an industry like that, I almost feel like it was a matter of time, right? It's an industry that for so long was very much mom and pop, family owned, and we still see across the country there are tremendous brands that are family brands, and I don't think they will ever sort of go down that pathway. With that said, though, yeah, private equity has certainly made a major impact on the industry. I think it's going to continue to grow for the next few years, it seems, from my outside perspective. But like everything else, and this is, something I think that we see more and more, there's great folks doing it, there's not so great folks doing it. And I think it's just like every other part of business, right? Where finding the people who are operating in a way that is consistent with your values, or right. And I guess this might be from an employee's perspective or whatever it may be, but that's more important than ever. It's just continuing to be somewhere where you're appreciated, you're valued, you're invested in. We've seen some private equity groups, acquire our partners in the trades, and it truly is like a dream scenario. Like the key was finally, turned into the ignition, and they have all the support they need to grow, and they excel. And these people, you see individual employees grow because there's so many new opportunities. So I don't want to pretend like there's some great outcomes as well. Then there are the groups that kind of, I guess, as a consumer's perspective, what you'd be a little bit nervous about, right? They come in and it is purely a financial driver. And in that case, maybe culture is a little bit lower on the list of priorities. More concerned with just sort of figuring out how we can make this part of a grand overall nationwide scheme. So it's a very interesting time, but I think it's always important that when you mention, yes, there's been an undeniable rise of PE in the trades. Like everything else, some folks do it really, really well, and some folks do it not as well. So it's enjoyable to work with the ones who do it well, because that means that they, from my perspective, they came in and they understood what made the company great in the first place. So they've continued to invest in the community. They've continued to promote from within, as we mentioned, not manage it like what you would fear a PE group would. So it's been very interesting just to see it kind of come to fruition. And certain times, I think people's fears maybe are reasonable based on the group. Other times, and we'll add on a positive note, other times they're great folks and they do a great job and they continue to sort of grow what made them great. So very
Yeah.
interesting for sure. It's a fascinating time in the industry, but it's a large chunk of influence now from PE.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that nuance, answer and response because generally you just hear either the extremes negative or
Yep.
the extreme
Always.
opportunity that everybody's kind of trying to
Yeah.
chase those different opportunities. But
Right.
just to pivot back to kind of branding, creative, production, all that,
Right.
what do you see in general when you're working with like a new client that they're doing wrong from a marketing, advertising, video, content perspective?
Yeah.
Probably, oftentimes, probably nothing in the trades sometimes, I'm sure
Right.
happens, versus like what's kind of the big opportunities that unlock after they start working with you?
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing, and this is, maybe it's a little bit of a pet project at this point now, but when I see stock imagery, I think it's the biggest quick sign of someone that sort of lives in this world, that sees the difference that authentic content of your team can make. When you live and breathe the trades, for example, like we see little intricacies. We can see when the stock photos are a European technician based on the style of pant. Very important to say, some customers will never notice that. So if you're like, I'm not here to say that you're going to be called out by every customer, but let's say it's a recruitment ad. You're looking to build your team and you want technicians who feel like they're going to a company that understands what's happening. Those little opportunities, I think people want to see the actual folks at a company that they would either work with or hire to work at their home. So that would be, I think, my initial red flag, is if there's a lot of either stock imagery or no images. That really is low hanging fruit. And as much as I would love Yellow Dog to come out and do a full video shoot, we tell people all the time, like, there are so many things that you can be doing. Posting natural video of your team being themselves, having fun, before and afters from job sites, like anything you can do to have a regular organic SMM presence mix that with, a little bit of consistency, and you really do. It doesn't take much to start gaining traction. So then obviously an agency like us, we can come in, help provide you with more content, help provide you with more final products, videos and things that you can leverage in all sorts of outlets. But that's my number one message to folks really is, as much as we want to work with you and hope to work with you, I also want you to leave this call feeling like there are things you can start doing right now without having to use us, that I want them to, it truly is a rising tides lift all boats situation for an industry like the trades, where they've been behind the curve a little bit in marketing for a long time. So these folks that are just, they just need that nudge maybe into saying, you have the capability to do this and to do a great job of it. It just starts with showcasing your actual people. So that would be my number one thing: stock imagery and no imagery. Let's fix that. Let's make sure we show off your people. It's incredible how much that emanates out to the public and makes people want to work with you.
That's the hilarious insight of people use European stock imagery or photos or
Every time,
videos
man, it
in their
sticks out like a
content.
sore
I've never
thumb. If
heard
you
that.
see that high vis on the pants, my friend, it's tough. And then you can tell the
You
machinery's
know?
wrong too. But hey, I'm the last person that should notice that. But that's what 8 years working around the trades
Yeah.
does for you.
That's what I mean though, but that's like an intangible insight that like somebody who's not working in that industry
Right?
wouldn't know. They might even use some of that
Absolutely.
stock video to kind of
Right.
fill in some parts of their content. But that's funny. Okay, and then with that, let's move actually to kind of AI and kind of we see there. Obviously, huge hot topic, keeps expanding with its capability, services, all of that. But how do you see kind of what's the threat you see around AI, and do you see and what's opportunity you see around with like using AI content? Like, do you see it improving, especially like you guys are big on like video and capturing all those moments and everything. Do you see it as an opportunity leverage around video content?
Absolutely. Opportunity, threat. I think I hate to be that guy, right? But even if you look at it as a threat, that means there is an opportunity there to try to sort of figure out how we can best capitalize upon what's coming. So the one thing that I will sort of caution folks, maybe, and I don't know if that's the right word, but I think there is a generational divide a little bit here between the efficacy of it, how people view it. I try to put my personal feelings aside, because when it comes down to should a client be using it or not, it really is a matter of, are people in their market going to be happy they see this? Are they not going to care at all? Or are they going to not like it? So we've seen more and more big titans, that we're talking the Googles of the world, come out pretty strongly and make clear that use AI generated content all you'd like, do your thing, have fun, but we're not going to give you credit for doing that. We're not going to, when you're updating pictures, photos, videos, when you're being active on Google, they love it. They feel like they want you to continuously be touching it, right? They want that interaction. So the idea of filling in some AI generated content in there, as far as we understand, Google is going to either skip over that or outright ding you for trying to sort of mix that in. So I don't want to speak as a Google expert whatsoever. That's something that we're constantly trying to stay updated on the latest and greatest in. But I'm approaching it much more from a perspective of consumer sentiment towards generative AI is very much soured. So whether or not we can in the future find ways to weave it into creative, I am open to that. That's a conversation our agency is always trying to figure out the best route. How can we maintain our creative flair without just being anti technology, right? So that is certainly a discussion to be had. But I think it's important to say that right now, you put up something on Facebook, it throws on there that AI content. Right now, people are not loving that. So, like, you are going to generate a little bit of a reaction. And if you understand that, if you use it as a little bit of a gimmick, if you're playing into a joke, there are so many ways to message the narrative and find really good uses of it. But I also think we need to consider that there's a very good likelihood maybe the most effective uses for that are internal, behind the scenes, increasing productivity, efficiency, things that I think we continue to all try to figure out ways that maybe it's going to be beneficial in that route, while we sort of maintain the creative authenticity and encourage our clients to lead with it. Like, we've seen big brands come out with behind the scenes videos more and more showcasing this is actually how this came to be. And part of that is it's a really cool advertising style. I don't mean to like pretend like this is all some, response to AI, but at the same time, the idea that there's value in the process and there's value in the human input that goes into a creative process, that is content in and of itself. So I do think that we've really come to appreciate more how much effort it takes for a human to put in and make up something. But while I say that, it's also folks will comment on an AI flyer immediately and say, should have just hired a graphic designer. So it's a really interesting mix between, are you saving time, or is it really more important to find a college student in the area that wants to be an intern, that is working on their skills, that would pump out incredible work? All of a sudden, your little shop is being known for their graphic design work. So I view it as opportunities for us to put up on a pedestal human authenticity and creativity, and lead with that and showcase and be proud of the fact that, as a brand that values our people and values our consumers and understands public sentiment, we felt it was important to continue to prioritize authentic creative production. So again, that is truly, it's not a judgment. Like, it is, people use AI and they use it well, and I respect the heck out of it. We do see partners, people who we love, will occasionally post a video with, six fingers on a hand, and it is truly like your heart sinks to your stomach, because that's what everyone's really afraid of, the low-hanging fruit of things that any creative person would see and say, oh my good, we can't let that go out. It is not a real person, you're showing an alien. So we want to make sure that we're there, almost out of a compassionate place, to say to that person, we're not saying don't ever use AI. The ship has sailed, AI is here, it's part of the world, that's okay, but let's make sure we're thoughtful about how we use it. We balance maybe our marketing efforts so it's not all six-fingered aliens, and we do whatever we can just to make it more of again, a natural part of what we do, not replacing that. Things like I mentioned, go out with your phone and take a video of your team, and it will do so much better than anything AI generated. So that's kind of where, I know there's a little bit of a ramble, no surprise based on how I operate, but there's a lot of interesting kind of thoughts on AI. And I don't want to be the guy that comes out and says, people don't like it, I don't like it, so don't ever use it. I think that would be a misguided way to view it. So I would just say, from a creative perspective, be very careful in using it and very intentional. So that's the long-winded response on AI.
Yeah. No, I love it. I think there's nuance to it, like anything that most people don't want to discuss. Everyone
Exactly.
wants to kind of have the
Sure.
extreme version or output of everything. But I think what you said is kind of like the interesting aspect of, like, do you find a way to weave it into your normal processes and video, or is it all just one full AI video? I think is an interesting concept because another
Absolutely.
creative person I interviewed said is like, we're trying to make AI so good you can't tell that was created by AI. That it Because I think what everybody's trying to stick to is authenticity, and when you overuse AI and it comes out inauthentic and very robotic, then that's a bad output that nobody likes. The consumer doesn't like, the brand shouldn't like it, all of that. And I think that's where people are trying to avoid is, how do you avoid the inauthenticity? How do you stay authentic to
Yes.
your brand, to who you are? And I think you still need real people and real videos of the actual brand and the identity of it to portray it. If you're just using AI
And James,
generated
I'm
people, it
sure,
doesn't work.
like, it's going to continue to get better, and that's a good thing. The
Right.
the less
Yeah.
of the six-finger variety we see, like, that is good. So we'll continue to progress it, and that's why I don't want to make any grand pronouncements like, hey, AI video is never going to be as good. It likely will be. Then it's going to come down to, are you able to craft a narrative in a way where you almost turn the fact that you're using authentic human creation, you can turn that into something that contributes to your brand. We're invested in the community, we understand. So it's really going to, I think, fall on storytellers and on marketers to kind of craft that tale and make sure their brands are leading with, we choose to make the investment because it, aligns with our core values, and it's how we feel about our community. So there's a very interesting space there. I think we have an opportunity to really be a little bit of a leader here and say, hey, we understand there's a lot of hot feelings on this topic. We're going to be a little bit more reserved, maybe. And if there's a way to weave it in down the line, awesome. We'll see when that arrives. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to just kind of agency life, everything. How do you guys build out like culture, unity, all of that within your as agency? Like, what's your approach? I think this is so like, especially coming out of like 2020. There's been like kind of a lot of agencies went remote, part time in office, and I think the plus side of it is a lot more flexibility, which everybody loves, but I think the downside is like culture, connection, unity, all of that. But like, how have you guys kind of came out of that time, and what are you guys doing now from building out like kind of a culture team type of focus?
Absolutely. That is a never ending, ongoing, right? Always trying to make sure that, like, truly the next week is better than the week before. Always building something. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be slow months, fast months. So I think, especially as someone who's newer in this role, just continuing to make sure that we're building our team up, we're working as hard as we can to feed the machine, and then just doing whatever we can to be there for people as human beings. So I mean, we're very fortunate as a team of 20 that is, the vast majority of us are in the office every day in Marquette. The culture there is very, very aren't in the office, are either wishing they are, or they feel like they're connected enough through, Zoom meetings and Slack, that you have that you can start to feel the joy and the pride that the team at the office takes. So it's little things like having a pool table that's, and having a yo-yo for the current office pool champion that is constantly up for grabs. Euchre tournaments, not even tournaments, more like euchre lessons, and just kind of taking a half hour now and then to get whoever is able and has a little bit of free time to hop out and play some cards. So in true Michigan fashion, playing euchre. It's little things like that, but also I think one thing that we're trying to get better about, and just being super honest, like in the past, we haven't done a lot of community service volunteering as a group, our team out on a Saturday. So as a leadership team, as a company, I think that's something that just in the past few weeks and months, it's been, let's make sure that's part of our regular life. Like, it doesn't need to be an every month thing, but if we as a company can organize at least quarterly some way to give back to the community that we all are so proud to be part of, that's been fun for, I think, the team building there, and just giving back. So all sorts of things, honestly. Like this morning, gave out the U Rock as we do every week at our weekly meeting. So the we call our weekly meeting, it's on the daily link, which doesn't really make sense, but that is an ode. You mentioned the COVID days. There was a time where, when we all sort of did go remote in March 2020, we were meeting on this Zoom link every single day. So it was the daily link. That was our sort of, the team got together, creative ideas were exchanged, who needs what hard drives delivered to their houses so they could work from home. So that was I think the start of the tying together the remote folks, because there was a time where we didn't have remote folks, right? So I think the growth
Mhm.
of the company naturally made it so that the culture has gotten stronger as the team has had these remote folks start to be in our orbit. So we're fortunate that everyone who's remote is sort of, they're either from Marquette, they started at the office, like they're in a position where they were fortunate to benefit from that culture. But man, it's a special place, and I think that we're always, as a team, we enjoy it so much that it's about how can we keep enriching it and making it so that next year it's even stronger. And it's a very cool place. I know we're all very hesitant to pull out the whole we're a family thing, because we're all fortunate to have families. So, but with that said, boy, it feels real close to a family. So it's
Yeah.
fun to go and work with your friends and work with people who you are their number one cheerleaders. So that is something that, man, like every day we get to go to the office, it's a blessing.
Yeah. No, you're building a community. I think that's what it's all about, is that, like,
Absolutely.
the community's a group that supports and encourages one another to grow and accomplish something together. So I think it's great. Okay, last question for you. One piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Probably more cardio, to be honest, right? Like, that would have helped out a little bit. But other than that, let's see here. Other than that, I think I've always prided myself on trying to be a good leader and trying to invest emotionally in the people with me. And to be honest with you, I don't know if it'd be advice or just doubling down on compassion and kindness are going to rule the day. There are times where you make tough decisions in business, personal friendships, like, it happens. We understand that. But as often as possible, I think if you can be a good person, lead the right way, it's going to come back to you. So I don't know whether that's karma or what. I think it really does come down to, there is a lot of stock to be placed in being a good human and trying to do the right thing. So that, I think, again, cardio would realistically be the answer. Second answer would be keep doing what you're doing, and focus on the people.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Thank you so much, Drew.
Absolutely, man. It was a blast chatting with you. Looking forward to the future and listening to more episodes.
Sounds good. Appreciate it. Have a good one.